All right, so you have an assessment tomorrow over substitution, and this is a review of, or it's a review for your test. So I'm going to go through and do half of these problems and show you step by step exactly what we're looking for. So, um, actually, if you could watch this video on a different device and then fill out your CAMI assignment as you're watching it, that would probably be your best bet. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do all of the evens. Okay, so on this one, all it wants you to do is solve for x and show all of your work. Okay, so when you are solving for a variable, you want all of your x's on one side and all of your other numbers on the other side. So I'm going to move this positive 3x over here by subtracting it from both sides, so minus 3x from both sides. So 5x minus 3x gives you 2x. We still have a minus 2. 3x minus 3x, those cancel out. And then we have minus 8. Okay, then I want to take this negative 2 and move it over here. So since this says 2x minus 2, we're going to add 2 to both sides because it's the opposite operation. So we have 2x equals negative 6. So this is really 2 times x, so the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So we're going to divide both sides by 2, and we get x equals negative 3. All right, first one done. All right, let's move on to 4. This one says solve for x by using the distributive property, show all of your work. All right, so when you are distributing, that's when you have a number on the outside of a set of parentheses, and all you're doing is multiplying. So this is like taking 3 times x and 3 times negative 3. Don't forget that this is negative. A lot of people will forget that. So 3 times x is 3x. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. And then I'm just going to rewrite this side. All right, then you want same thing as what we did up above. So we want all of our x's on one side. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 3x from this side and 3x from this side. So here, these negative 4 minus 3, that'll give us negative 7x. We still have the plus 5. These two things crossed out, canceled out. Oops, I forgot to draw my line down the middle. And then equals negative 9. Okay, then this says plus 5. So to get rid of this plus 5, we're going to subtract 5. So minus 5 minus 5. And we get negative 7x equals negative 14. Last step, divide both sides by negative 7. We get x equals 2. All right, moving on. Okay, so now we're going to do number 6. 6 says, use substitution to solve the system of equations below. Show all of your work. Write your answer as a coordinate pair. So down below here, this is where we're going to write our solution when we're done. All right, so when you are substituting, so let's pretend you have a substitute teacher. That means you're going to have a teacher that's there instead of your regular teacher. So they're not both going to show up. You're going to have one or the other. So in this case, this y would be like your normal teacher, and the negative 1 is like your substitute. So up in this equation, here's your normal teacher. Who's the substitute? Well, it's negative 1. So instead of putting a y here, we can put a negative 1. So when I rewrite that, I get 8 equals 3x plus 4. But now instead of your regular teacher, you have your substitute, which is negative 1. And then we're going to do the same thing that we did in number 4. We're going to distribute and then solve. So we're going to take this down here. So we have 8 equals 3x, and then 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. Our x's are actually already on the right-hand side, so we're going to move our other numbers to the other side. So we're going to add 4, and we get 12 equals 3x. Go ahead, divide both sides by 3. We're going to end up with x equals 4. Okay, so now remember, it says write your answer as a coordinate pair. So in this coordinate pair right here, remember this, the first one's your x, the second one's your y. Our x is 4. So now normally you take this 4 and you plug it back in for this x. But for this one, we don't have to because that already tells us what y equals. Well, y equals -1. Okay, moving on to number 8. So same thing. Okay, so now this time our substitute's a little bit different. So remember, this is kind of like your normal teacher, but now this whole thing is your substitute. So we're going to put this in for your quote normal teacher. So when I rewrite this first part, we're going to take this and put it in for y. So we have 3x plus 2 times 5x minus 7, and then equals 12. So just take a couple seconds. Look at this equation, and then look at this one. The only thing that's different is instead of this y, we wrote 5x minus 7. And since these two are equal, that means they're exactly the same, so it doesn't matter which one you put. Okay, so let's go ahead and distribute this 2 first. So we're going to distribute the 2. So when I rewrite this, you're going to have 3x. 2 times 5 is 10. 10x, excuse me. 2 times -7 is -14 equals 12. Okay, and then just go ahead and solve from there. So 3x plus 10x is 13x minus 14 equals 12. Now here we have to add 14 to both sides. So we end up with 13x equals, that would be 26. Divide both sides by 13, and you get x equals 2. Okay, so don't forget, we need to write it as a coordinate pair. So our x value was 2, so we have that done. So on the last one, we could take this y equals and take this and put it down here. But we can't do that for this one because your y is not just a number, it has an x in here. So we need to take this x value and we're going to plug it back in to this one. So we're going to take this 2, we're going to plug it back in up here. Okay, so instead of, now x equals 2. So instead of putting an x right here, we can put a 2. Actually, why do you think I chose to put it into this bottom one instead of the top one? So really you can put it in for either one, but since this one already says y equals, and that's what we're trying to find, it'll actually end up being a lot easier. Okay, so if I rewrite that, you will have y equals 5. Now instead of putting the x, we're going to put this 2 instead, times 2, and then finish off with minus 7. So y equals 10 minus 7, y equals 3. So then we can take, since y equals 3, we can put the 3 right here. And that is it.